There you are.
Hello, and welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson. This is the show about THC. Truth, hope, and change, of course. Of course that's what it means. Of course that's what it stands for. That's what we all always thought when we were talking about THC. Truth, hope, and change, because we need to know the truth if we're going to have any hope of change in anything, that's for sure. And hope is important, so, let's find out some truths, and maybe we can do that on the show here today. On the show today, we're going to have 8 out of 10 Glenn from canamatch.ca join us for the 420 session and beyond. We'll have a visit to the RV, of course, the Healing Wave Ganja Mobile CSP RV out there that's been going on for all these years. That's what the show primarily is all about all the time. I don't know if you just saw what happened there, but one of my cats decided to knock down my little display, so we were not going to worry too much about it. Maybe just put that on top of that, leave it sideways, and just put it on top of that.
It's going to crush it.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, well, technical difficulties right off the bat.
I got an idea.
We were gifted 4 cannabis plants. They're about 2 feet tall, and I'm going to find homes for those. And I was going to put them up where people could see them. Glenn sort of got that under control, but my cats like weed, so there's a good chance that the cats might just decide to...
More stable than the box.
All right, well,
All right.
yes and no.
Got control in there? Well, good.
Oh, nothing like live plants on a live show going for a live dive.
Bloopers.
Bloopers, there'd be lots of them if we started pulling them. In fact, the whole show usually is a blooper. Oh, what a world we're living in, eh? Legalization, yeah, that's a thing. It's not a real thing, but it's a thing. It's a ruse. It's a smoke screen set up by the provincial Liberal government on behalf of their corporate buddies that want to involve themselves in a hostile takeover of the cannabis industry. It's been going on for close to 5 years now. And they're trying to, get their system entrenched, and we're trying to make them include a whole bunch of other people, other growers, other sellers, and other people able to access. Because legalization in Canada has meant that the rich people get to go into stores, really nice stores, and buy themselves some cannabis at exorbitant prices, as if they're paying the fine for having weed right up front to the government. The government takes their taxes off the top at 3 or 4 different levels. They impose a bunch of fees and other regulations that cost a bunch of money, so that none of the actual people in the industry are making very much money out of so-called legalization, not like they thought they were. All the shareholders that got involved in the publicly traded companies have lost a ton of money. Some of those companies are right off the stock exchange now. They're reduced down to penny stocks. And they're continuing to try to entrench this system that they have of making people buy it from them and using tax dollars to protect their interests by increasing the expenditures on that enforcement, by increasing the penalties against people that would not be part of the cartel. Everybody who hasn't got their government license is supposed to just fold up, stop what they're doing, and go away. That's just not going to happen. That's not realistic. Prohibition doesn't work. And the Trudeau cartel is continuing to prohibit weed that's grown by anybody but their licensed people. And it's not going to work. It can never work. It never has. It never will. People are not going to stop growing cannabis, and not everybody's going to go to the government stores. Recently, there was a report released about the regulated cannabis being safer than the unregulated cannabis. And they got a bunch of different things there and tests that they do, and oh my God, they took a bunch of samples of unregulated weed. Who knows where they got them from, but I'll tell you, this whole report was biased, so we can just imagine they went to the worst sources possible. They certainly didn't go to my sources, because my sources have really good, clean cannabis that would definitely compare with anything that the government is putting out there. But the government puts this thing out there and talks about all these different things that they're finding, residues of pesticides and other contaminants and things like this. But the bottom line to all of it is that there's nobody being harmed in any significant way and never has been by unregulated cannabis. And there's a whole bunch of people that have been seriously harmed by regulated cannabis. So all of this is just more BS in a world where they're trying to get away with telling lies and getting a whole bunch of money. And that's what happens when the truth is left out. There's corruption, there's people harmed, and the government is making out like bandits as they take all these fees and all these taxes and they let everybody else fight over what might be left in the way of profits. It is disgusting. Recently, there was an expose about underage people buying from licensed producers or licensed retailers. Okay, so what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. They got told to not do it. They got exposed for doing it. No penalties, no prison time, nothing like that. If somebody outside the cartel is caught selling cannabis to somebody underage, all sorts of horrible things happen to those people. This is criminally hypocritical, what the government has done here in Canada. Let this not be a model for other places in Canada to follow. This is corruption playing itself out in the cannabis industry, and it is ugly. It is ugly as can be. Because the people that were being helped most during pre-legalization days with the illegal dispensaries that were being accessed are sick people. People that need cannabis, that without it they have really lousy, if not zero, quality of life. For what we're doing here with the Cannabis Substitution Program, of course, we're trying to get access to people that without it are at risk of death and overdose from a poison drug supply during a public health emergency. But the government's all over spending all kinds of money, coming up with all kinds of penalties for anybody that would work outside of their cartel. While the people within the cartel, they get away with all kinds of stuff. They get away with growing extra weed. They get away with using pesticides and chemicals they're not supposed to use. Now they're getting away with selling to young people because they're part of the government scheme. They're not worried. They don't have any consequences coming to them. But anybody outside of the cartel, the government's coming down with a big hammer on those people to make sure that nobody undercuts them. And in the process, making sure that the people that really need it the most, the people that are poor, sick, struggling with addiction, need to use it on a daily basis, need good quality cannabis, need cannabis that has dosages that are appropriate for helping people transition through withdrawal and off of hard drugs and to deal with all of their major health issues. Those people are the ones that are still suffering. And they're not only suffering. If you could go and talk to them, they're panicking. They were afraid of what legalization might mean, and it meant exactly what they were afraid of. We've been trying to show the government this since the very beginning, since before legalization. We put on 420 rallies and Cannabis Day rallies, and all these things were protests, but mostly they were demonstrations. We would gather hundreds of vendors to the 420 events with all kinds of cannabis products, of all kinds of potency, with their own branding and names and packaging and all the rest of it. And that's what we were telling the government they needed to do. They need to get out of the cannabis business. They need to leave the business to those people that have been involved with cannabis since the beginning. The legacy people. The people that care. The growers that care. In this report about unregulated cannabis, they talked about the incentive of money driving the growing. Apparently, all these unregulated growers are much more interested in profits than they are about people's health. And the government is different on that respect, apparently. Not. I know and I'm sure that there are unscrupulous growers out there. There are growers using more pesticides and chemicals than they should and not flushing properly, trying to get it to market for the biggest buck they can. That is a thing. Always has been. It's not the majority of the growers, but it's there. The licensed growers are no different. They're trying to cut corners and get away with things as well because many of them are losing money. What else are they supposed to do? Of course they're doing that. It's wrong on so many levels. The bottom line is, with all that going on, we still do not have any epidemic or incurrence of people that are being harmed by cannabis, regulated or unregulated, although regulated cannabis we certainly do have lots of documentation and lawsuits pending about the harm that has come to people from licensed producers using nasty chemicals that they shouldn't. But we've never had that in the unregulated market. In the unregulated marketplace, or in any marketplace, people are going to determine the quality of what they get and the price of what they get if the free market is allowed to do its thing. Easy access to the marketplace for producers. What does it cost to produce a pound of weed? Well, it really depends on how you do it. You can do it expensively, no question about that. Prohibition caused a lot of that. Instead of people growing under God's sunshine, which is the best source of light for plants, they grow in basements and containers and all sorts of other ways that cost a lot of money. I know a fellow who spent $30,000 to build himself a little shed. He had a license to grow for himself for his medical needs, but his expenses are through the roof because that's the way he's doing it. But it doesn't have to be done that way. It can be, lots of people just throw seeds in the ground and see what comes up. I remember Mayor Taylor from Grand Forks showing me around his yard, and there were some 7-foot tall, healthy looking marijuana plants in that backyard that he didn't plant. He simply was changing his soil. But I guess there was some seeds in the soil that he put into that pile out there in his backyard because pot plants started growing up out of there. Beautiful, healthy looking pot plants. What did it cost him? A little chunk of ground on his acreage. Nothing. Mother Nature does her thing like she's been doing for millennia. The sun feeds the plant. The minerals and nutrients in the soil feed the plant. The rains come along and water the plant. Eventually the days get shorter. The plant switches over to flower mode, produces great buds, beautiful buds, and that's that for that. Didn't cost them anything. Just wander out there sometime in early September, pair of clippers, clip off the buds, got himself a bag of buds. Lay them out, let them dry, trim them up if you want, grind it, roll it, and smoke it. Doesn't cost him nothing. He's got plums as well. Somebody planted a plum tree before he bought the property. Doesn't cost him anything, except a little chunk of his land. Not much. Mother Nature does her thing. He goes out there at the right time, picks a bunch of plums. Didn't cost him anything. If he wanted to sell those plums, what does he got? Some time into picking them? Maybe he washes them, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he sends his grandson down to the road with a little stand to set up a stand and sell them. They make some money off it. Nobody's harmed. Easy peasy. The plums are cheap because they didn't cost anything to grow. Everybody's happy. But cannabis, farmers would love to grow cannabis, but they can't. It's illegal. They're going to have the criminal law brought down on them. They're going to have Gestapo come and break down their doors or tromp into their backyards and pull up their plants and then fine them or penalize them or prison them. For what? To protect who? To stop what damage from happening? What damage is prohibition and the action of trying to make sure people don't grow cannabis and sell it, what has that ever actually accomplished in protecting anybody except the gangs that are a little bit impervious and probably have some inside help on producing what they're producing? This whole prohibition has always just helped the gangs to be the ones selling the weed. If there weren't criminal penalties involved, lots of people would be providing cannabis to other people. We wouldn't have to use biker weed. Not that I got anything against biker weed. I'm happy that somebody at least was willing to risk criminal penalties to provide the massive amounts of cannabis that people are demanding in our society. A $7 to $10 billion industry in British Columbia alone. Quebec says they're bigger than that. Ontario is a much huger province. I'm sure theirs was bigger than that. Many tens of billions of dollars worth of cannabis is required to meet the demand. Prohibition is one of the most ineffective, dangerous, and costly policies that governments have entered into in the last 100 plus years. If it's proven anything, it's proven that it doesn't work. It could work, sorta, if you put enough money into it. If your enforcers are powerful enough and enough of them, if your scrutiny is good enough, maybe you can stop people from taking the chance of criminal penalties. Maybe you can make it so that everybody's too afraid of criminal penalties to not turn in their neighbors, families, and friends if they think that they're growing cannabis. It's sort of worked in Japan. Japan's got 2% of their population that have ever tried cannabis in their entire lifetime. Uh-oh. Time goes fast when you're having fun, and I love talking about how bad prohibition is, apparently. It's 4:19. Roll them if you got them. I got less than a minute now. So Japan's all worried because there's a big increase in cannabis use, especially amongst the 18 to 30-year-olds. But their increase in cannabis use is nothing compared to the usage of cannabis in, say, North America. In North America, 42% of the people here have tried cannabis in their lifetime during Prohibition. Most of those people aren't doing it now when it's legal and didn't do it before. It was always around that. The criminal law being broken in a free country by democratically, supposedly free, sovereign citizens. When 42% of free people decide to break criminal law, it's time the government changed the law. And not by just deciding that, okay, you're not a criminal if you buy it off of us or you grow it with our license. The law that is prohibiting cannabis, that is making criminals out of so many people, needs to stop, needs to change. And we're here to try to do that. Anyway, it's 4:20. So that means that Sir Wells is here.
Oh, Sir Magnuson.
How are you, sir?
All right, how are you?
Sir.
Oh, you know what I did?
That's what happens when somebody decides to tell me I'm a
again. I gotta do this part.
Oh yeah, you want to do that now?
Yeah, because then people can see me, right?
Yeah.
And the plants too.
They want to see more of you and less of me. Obviously.
There we go.
They would tune in for you.
Yeah. Free trade agreement, yes. NAFTA. I know, right?
Oh, man. I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna like this joint.
I'm gonna like this one too.
Try to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, we both need to calm down. I was visiting the lawyer and I got a ticket for parking on the street after 3 o'clock.
Oh, don't do that.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm from Mission.
Oh, okay.
All right, yeah. So I'm gonna do. I had a medical.
Those are the only ones I'm in favor of.
Really?
Yeah, if you parked after 3 in an area where the people want to get home from work, that's not good.
Yeah. Well, I
But
don't know that. I'm from Mission because I didn't. All I did was check the meter. The meter had failed. It was jammed with coins. So I go, okay, I'm good.
Okay, so now you know.
And now I know.
Now you know.
$120 later.
Look at those fines. You only got 120?
Yeah, it's $120.
So
or 300 if you don't pay it by October or something.
So we all know how close I came to spending the rest of my life in an American jail a couple of weeks ago. I go and pick up my mom and take her for lunch on Sunday, day before yesterday. Incident free, All was well until I had dropped her off and was on my way home. Then, as I'm coming up from the flats and going up a hill that goes in towards Newton, I see a car pulling onto the highway from the side road, and I can tell by looking at it, even though it's got no markings on it, that that's a police SUV. I mentioned that to my son, and it's not long before I'm being pulled over.
Really? After your mom's?
Yep, after my mom's on Sunday.
Well, maybe they were from those mushrooms.
Guess what his first question was?
Were you just across the border?
No. But it was the same question as the guy at the border had.
What?
Got any marijuana on you?
Oh, really? Well, of course. I've been charged with it.
In a legalized world, why would that be a question?
Yeah.
Did he ask me if I had any spare socks? An extra toothbrush?
What did you reply?
Bottle of pop, maybe? Why would he ask me if I have another legal substance?
Yeah.
But he did. Oh, let's see it. All right. So I reach right down there and I pull out my side bag. I don't wear this thing for anybody who gives a crap. But I do still have it.
Yeah.
And, it's in here that I keep all the little nice things that I need to have. And I've got a bag of weed there. So that's what I pulled out. I showed him my bag of weed. And I said, and he says, and your driver's license? I says, yeah, I got a driver's license. And I got a license as a medical user for cannabis over 30 grams as well. So we're good, right? And he says, well, you're not allowed to have that weed right there.
yeah, which is true.
It's got to be in the back. So I took my side bag and I threw it in the back. I said, there you go. I said, that's a bullshit law. And I said, you're about to give me a bullshit ticket too. He says, well, you were doing 105 kilometers an hour. I said, I don't believe that. He said, well, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to do that. So he goes away and he's writing me out a ticket. And then he comes back and he shows me his radar gun that says 105 on it. I said, what, I'm supposed to believe that means anything?
Yeah.
Those things are faulty. You can't trust them. That means nothing.
Yeah.
I said, I'm the one driving. I don't think I was doing 105. It's a 70 kilometer zone. I said that. He said, what's the speed limit? I said, 70 kilometers. He says, what's the maximum allowable before you can get a ticket? I said, I imagine it's 70 kilometers. He goes, that's right. I said, I'll tell you, sir, whether you know it or not, over 95% of all the cars coming off the flats and heading up that hill are doing considerably more than 70 kilometers an hour. That would be ridiculous to go that slow. The only time people are going to go that slow is if they see a car like yours with the lights lit up when they're going up the hill.
Yeah.
All I was doing was following the flow of traffic. I admit I wasn't constantly looking at my odometer or my speedometer.
Yeah.
I was talking to my son, but pretty sure I wouldn't be going 105 here. And even if I was, what I did was not dangerous. Nobody was being endangered in any way, shape, or form. This is a bullshit ticket. And I said, same with that Patella Bridge. I said, that's a trap just like this trap. 50 kilometers an hour on your approach to and off of Patella Bridge. Nobody does that. He's nodding his head.
Oh,
He's nodding his head. I said, you're just here getting your quota. He says, well, we don't like to call it that. But he said, you're right. He said, we have to have numbers when we go back in.
Yeah.
He said, I can't go in with nothing. He said, are you from Surrey? I said, originally I lived in Surrey. I don't live there now. I live in Vancouver. He says, well, we got a lot of bad drivers speeding around in Surrey. We're trying to put a halt to that. I said, I agree. There's a lot of bad drivers in Surrey. I'm not one of them. He said, yeah, I know. You were just the low-hanging fruit at that particular moment.
Low-hanging fruit.
Nice admission, eh?
Yeah.
Nice admission. I thought that was pretty good. We were starting to get along, him and I. I said, same with the marijuana laws. That's bullshit, too. That's bullshit that I can't have it right beside me. So what if I have it beside me? Does that mean I'm impaired? Does that mean I'm going to do something irresponsible and impair myself from driving? If I did that, and you saw that, well, maybe that's a reason to pull somebody over. But just because I have it there means nothing. Bullshit law. I said, in fact, the whole legalization is bullshit. I said, I run this program called the Cannabis Substitution Program. I brought out a flyer and I showed him the flyer. And I said, we're here trying to get the government to get the price of cannabis down below what it was during Prohibition to the point where people can actually afford it who need it. And I did my whole spiel with him. We had a long chat. And he hums. I gave him space to talk at one point.
Yeah.
To say something. He goes, well, geez, he says, I'm not really able to give you my opinion on these things.
Yeah.
I said, well, you could do what the VPD do with me regularly when I talk to them. They say, well, I can't really disagree with what you're saying. And he nodded his head. And then he's looking at his ticket and he's looking at me.
Yeah.
And I can tell he wants to
He's
not.
coming on,
He doesn't want to give it to me anymore.
Yeah.
We've had a nice chat. I'm a nice man. I'm a good human being. I don't deserve this ticket, and he knows it.
Yeah.
But he hands me the ticket and he says, "Just dispute it.
Just dispute it.
I'll help you out."
If he remembers you.
He'll remember you.
Yeah, just walk in with the CSP shirt on or something. He'll remember,
Yeah. But he's not going to be there.
Well, yeah.
See, that's how he's going to help me out.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
If they decide they don't like you, and you deserve that ticket, and you're going to fight it, well, they're going to show up and they're going to make sure you get that ticket.
Yeah.
But in this case, and in other cases I've been involved in like this, they're not okay with giving the ticket. They know it's just part of their job that isn't really reasonable for me, the person that's going to be affected negatively by this ticket. Mm-hmm. And they don't show up. They tell you to fight it because they're not going to come there. They're not going to identify you. They're not going to say, yes, that was him. And you get to walk away. I have to take some time out of my busy life and go to a court in Surrey somewhere and have all that happen. Mm-hmm. I don't mind being in courthouses. You know, I usually leave a bunch of pamphlets behind and look around and see who is there that I can talk to.
Sheriffs.
Talk to the cops, talk to the sheriffs, talk to the judges if you get a chance, prosecutors. I don't mind being in courthouses. You can't get into this courthouse here unless you've got a reasonable reason for it, unless you're there to be part of the trial or there to support somebody. They screen you at the door. You're just going in to witness. They don't let you in there. Crazy.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, you can't just go and watch injustice going on. No. You have to be one of the ones injustice is being done to, or a friend of yours or something.
Oh, yeah, that's good. So
we had a couple of really good events.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yep.
Monday was all right.
Pot fights on Saturday.
Yeah. No, Friday.
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 Well, what was on Saturday?
I don't know, but Monday was the picnic.
Monday was the barbecue, but
yeah.
Wasn't it Saturday?
No, Friday, September the 1st. Today's the 5th. Friday, September the 1st.
I don't know why I thought it was on Saturday, but I guess...
It's hard to keep track of the days when you're as old as you are.
I can't argue with you there, that's for sure.
But that's why we have calendars.
Just for the sake of no argument, we'll say it was on Friday.
It was.
It was on September 1st, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
We'll say it was on a Friday.
There, September 1st, look.
Oh, dear.
Right there.
Well, what the heck was on Saturday then? I had something special going on Saturday.
I don't know. Sunday you would have went to see your mom, so what did you do the day before you saw your mom?
Oh, I watched the BC Lions beat up Montreal.
Montreal, yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was really good. Their ex-quarterback coming back to bite them, so that was good. Vernon Adams Jr.
So then you weren't doing
I
anything.
wasn't very impressed with him when I first seen him when he was taken over from that phenom Nathan Rourke. You know?
Yeah, who didn't get picked by the Jackson Jaguars.
What do you mean?
They've released him.
Really?
Yeah.
He's available?
Well,
come on back, Nathan!
They're thinking that they're going to keep him in the practice level.
They told him he was going to be third string.
I know, but he didn't make it.
Wow.
He got released. It was on the news.
They must have good quarterbacks
and
down
lots
there.
of people were worried, maybe he'll come back to BC, but no, that's not in the cards apparently. So
not yet. Who knows? Maybe, at some point. That guy was phenomenal, and when Vernon took over from him, I wasn't too impressed right away. He awkwardly won games, but that awkwardness has sort of turned into much more efficient professionalism, the way he's running the game, and he's damn good.
Yeah. He's
damn good. So I did watch that. Anyway, pot fights. So we talked about it on the show leading up here. There's certain people, individuals that have problems in our community with other individuals. It has always been the case. There's numerous things going on in our community of legalization. This movement involves people that are sick and suffering and grumpy because of it. It involves people who have egos that get inflated because, you know, they're selling weed and people love it. And then they make a bunch of money and now they're greedy. And so there's greed and there's ego and there's grumpiness and all these different things. And so Asia May Moon from Three Happy Cats had a bit of an issue with me to do with 420 and how all that went down. Personally, I don't hold grudges, and I'm a lover, not a fighter, so I wasn't holding anything against anybody, but women are a little different than men. They're a little more emotional. You know what they say?
You'd be in trouble for that.
I don't care. I don't care, because I have 66 years of experience. My mom was way more emotional than my dad, and the women I've met in my life are way more emotional than most of the men I've met in my life. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
No.
Women care like you wouldn't believe. They are amazing at helping and loving and all those wonderful things. We'd be a lot less of a good world. And we're not in a good world anyway. It would be a lot less of a good world if we didn't have that wonderful female part of the equation, if you will. But you know what they say about a woman scorned? And I didn't mean to do that, if that's what happened. Apparently that's what happened. It was nothing romantic or sexual, just, you know.
That was it.
So that was it. And so to clear the air, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt that that's what this was all about, was clearing the air. Of course, I think the way that the air was going to be cleared was by having me lose and be humiliated, and then she can win, and they go la da 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 da, and now I'm okay with you. I don't care about you now because I beat you. So I mean, I don't know if that was the case or not, but that's how I took it. She was very withholding of information, if you will, throughout the whole thing. You know, like not telling me that there was more to it than joint rolling. Because when she announced it, me hearing about it for the first time, apparently I'm involved, and nobody talked to me about it, but at Cannabis Day, she's up on stage there with me. She's got the microphone, and she's talking about how there's going to be this thing called pot fights. And I'm going to be rolling joints against Neil Magnuson. And I'm like, okay, all right, I don't care, whatever. I probably purposely won't win because Mom taught me not to beat up girls, but who knows? And then, a week or two later, I happen to be watching a podcast. Asia's on this podcast. She's saying, oh yeah, and you have to write a song and perform it as part of this pot fights, and Neil Magnuson's going to have to write himself a new song and perform it. And she mentioned that she had some professional musician, you know, helping her out with her song. I'm like, what is she talking about? Well, I don't have time for this. Then I find out that there's also going to be a dab contest between us. Well, I don't dab. You've never seen me dab. I don't dab. I'm a lightweight now. Back in the day, man, I smoked so much great hash and, you know, oil and resin and roach joints and all the rest of it. I could smoke anybody under the table, but that changed for me a long time ago now. And now I'm a lightweight. I just smoke joints. And I don't know, a few puffs at a time, and then I put it out. She's included a dab contest purposely, in my opinion, because she knows I don't dab. So then I look and I see what's going on. I can see the layout. There's also a pillow fight.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to get into some sort of a ring and beat her up with a pillow. I already told you what my mom taught me. I'm not beating up no girl. I don't care if it's with a pillow. I'm not doing it. So I called her. I said, hey, what's going on here? She says, well, you can have somebody dab for you. She says, you don't have to write a song. You can just pick any song and perform it.
Yeah.
She told me that the day of the event, by the way. Because I got to the event and I went and talked to her and I said, hey, you know, I got nothing. I don't have a song prepared.
Yeah.
I was going to have Brix Carlisle come and perform one of the recent songs that he's written about the CSP. And I was listening to it and getting the hang and feel of it. I was going to be able to do some backing vocals and maybe some harmonies or something with him. But he was unable to make it. So when I got there, I went and thought, no, I don't take this seriously at all anyway.
Yeah.
But I pretend to take it seriously because that's the most way to have fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm all about having fun.
Yeah.
So I went and talked to her, and I said, I got nothing for music. She says, just pick anything. You know?
Yeah.
I said, no. I'm not getting up there unrehearsed and try to do a song, karaoke style. I don't do karaoke. I'm not...
Just single cannabis. That's any song.
That's what I said. I said, can I do cannabis? I mean, I wrote that legitimately, or at least the words, and, I can do that. And no, you can't.
What?
I don't know. She's making the rules.
Oh.
It's her event, apparently.
Yeah.
Somewhere it might even be written down. I don't know. But off the top of her head, she goes, no, pick a song. So the night went on. Now, the part of the contest that I was prepared for, I don't think that happened at all.
Rolling contest. No.
Rolling. I didn't see no rolling contest.
No.
I rolled lots of joints because there was a judge's kit.
The bouncy castle people were there at 7:30 to take the bouncy castle back.
Oh.
So that's probably why. Because
we would have rolled inside the bouncy. It's not a castle, it was a bouncy ring.
Was it a ring? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was, I guess.
No, it was actually like a boxing ring.
Yeah.
But it was made out of air and plastic.
Yeah.
So nobody got hurt, thankfully.
Yeah.
So here's how it all went down for me, from my perspective, in this event that I think was designed to cause me to lose so that Asia could win.
Okay.
And in that, there's very little winning available to me because you don't beat up on girls. But I'm a very competitive person, as I've mentioned before. I don't like to lose. I typically win. So here's how it all went down for me. So I think I beat her in the joint rolling because I never seen her roll a single joint all night.
Yeah.
And I rolled lots of them because we had the judge's kit and you had to test all these samples. And he's got video of me rolling joints. So I think I win the joint rolling. Then there was the dabbing. I was allowed to have a pinch dabber. That's what she said. So Ted gets up and takes, and it was who was going to take the nicest dab, whatever that meant. So I went and talked to the judges ahead of time so I could coach my pinch dabber. What's a nice dab? We got a bit of a feel for that. Ted did 2 very nice dabs. He earned me a stamp, because it's all about stamps.
I got a stamp too.
I really wanted that stamp. I needed to have a stamp. I didn't plan on winning anything, but I couldn't have no stamps. They're not going to give me the stamp. So we had to call the referee in. So Nick Mann brought all the way down from way up north where he gold mines during his real time. It's his real job now, is mining for gold. He comes down, and his ruling is no pinch dabbers.
No.
Well, I'm arguing this like it's a baseball argument. He says, nope, you got 2 minutes. Well, I wasn't sure what 2 minutes meant, but I figured I better use it to talk to the command center and see if I couldn't overrule his decision. She was hiding on me. You see, that's what I'm telling you. This was all just a big scam here to try to get me, but I got her. And I got her within the 2 minutes, and I'm telling her, hey, you told me I could have a pinch dabber. Mick is saying no pinch dabbins. We did a good, 2 nice, my pinch dab. She says, give me your wrist, and she took out her thing. Boom. I'm going to stamp for that one, too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm not pillow fighting no girl. I don't have a pinch pillow fighter either. I'm not appointing nobody, because if I appointed somebody and they beat Asia, well, that'd be because I had a ringer.
Uh-huh.
I brought in somebody who knows how to pillow fight, right?
Yeah.
So I was going to decline the whole thing. They appointed a pinch pillow fighter for me.
And who was that?
Well, that was the Marijuana Monkey.
Well, she happens to be mentioning right now that it happened. I was there. She's on the feed right now.
So the Marijuana Monkey
stepped in for you.
Stepped in.
Yeah.
And I'm told she did a really good job.
I would think so.
I had nothing to do with it. I did not have anything to do with Asia being beat up by a pillow. But I got assigned a stamp for having done it.
There you go.
So I got that one.
Love it.
So I'm ahead of her in 3 out of 4.
You can thank the monkey because she's one.
Oh, I thank her. I did thank her. I mean, I love that monkey. That's a great thing. I love that it happened.
Yeah.
I love that it happened how it happened.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
I didn't hit her with nothing. Nobody did it on my behalf that I told to do that. So I'm good. I'm good with Mellow Wanna Monkey winning that event. So then there's only one left.
Yeah.
The story gets better. I'm not going to take part in this. I got nothing. I'm not going to get up there and just try to pick some random song and hope that I can sing it. I mean, I got issues with my range these days and what have you, and so I'm not going to do it. I shouldn't even be there. So, because I'm old, and this was a long event, and I should have been home in bed by now, and that's what I said to Cheryl Rose, who's sitting right beside me with Haley Rose.
Oh, wow.
So I'm in the front row with Cheryl, the mother of the totally famous Haley Rose. And Haley Rose, for those of you who don't know, is a young woman that has been afflicted with epileptic seizures, major seizures, her whole life. I've known her for close to 20 years, if not more than that. I've never seen her outside of a wheelchair except for pictures that I was shown about a month ago, where because of the juicing of marijuana or cannabis microgreens, along with the other protocols of cannabis and other things that they've determined help her, she's had an amazing recovery. She's out of her wheelchair, going places, doing things like a regular, ordinary human being.
Nice.
I couldn't be more thrilled. I mean, I was just in tears when I first saw those pictures. We're going to have her on the show. It almost happened earlier, but she had other things on that day. But we're going to have her on the show. But I hadn't seen her in person. I'd only heard about that.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing there in the side yard of this hall that has been rented, where there's a bunch of vendors set up there, and the dab tables are set up there. And I'm talking to Jeff Lundstrom, and I look because I feel a presence sort of beside me here, and I turn and look, and I see a young lady standing there, and I give her a little nod, and then I go back to talking to Jeff, and then I think about what I just saw there, and I turn around and go, Haley? Oh my God, girl, and give her a big hug, and oh my goodness, there she was, and she can talk. She's never been able to really even speak hardly for herself. She was always in such distress with what had been going on with her. So that was just awesome to have a little conversation with her and what have you. So there I am, sitting in the front row with Cheryl, the mom, and Haley, and Asia announces Neil Magnuson's coming up to do his song next.
What?
I look to Cheryl and I say, oh no, I'm not. I got nothing. I said I shouldn't even be here. I should have left a long time ago. I'm an hour and a half past my bedtime. And Haley says, I'd like to sing a song.
Oh, wow. That's good.
I said, really? You would like to sing a song? She goes, I'd really like to sing a song.
Yeah.
I said, would you do it like for me up there?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she says, I've been singing since I was 3 years old.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I never knew that about her.
Oh, there you go.
One of the things that has kept her sane and part of her therapy has been singing. Hey, Sam, leave my plant alone, please. Don't you bug in my plant. If you want any more pats from me, if you want to sleep with me at night, if you want to come in the bathroom and get pats, just leave my plant alone. There you go. You can eat that stuff. Way better than plants.
Yeah.
So I go and tell Asia that I've got a pinch singer going to sing for me, and it's Haley Rose. And that she should really give Haley the appropriate introduction. And she says, no, you can come and give Haley the appropriate introduction. So thrilled that I got to get up on stage and introduce Haley walking, talking, and singing like a regular human being after her lifetime of suffering. Hey, get that out. So she's going to sing Where the Heart Goes by Celine Dion. And there's a DJ there, and I was told that whatever I was going to perform, he could find the music for. And so he gets that and cues it up. I give her the mic, and she steps to the front, and she starts singing the song.
Yeah.
And she can sing.
She can sing pretty good, eh?
But she's shaking like a leaf.
Yeah, because she's nervous.
And so I stepped forward and I put my arm around her waist
Yeah.
and I said, "You're doing a great job."
Yeah.
And I just tried to give her my calmness,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I stood there with her like that, humming along with her. And then I look over at the desk on the stage there, and there's a laptop that's got the song playing with the words coming up.
Oh, there
It
you go.
didn't have the bouncing ball, but it
Yeah.
had the words all coming up right there.
Nice.
So I got to complete the song as a duet with her.
Okay.
And it brought the house down.
Good.
And it was such a fantastic, beautiful moment for myself.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
yeah, I told you the story.
Thank you, Asia May Moon, I guess.
Thank you, Asia May Moon. And the whole night was a blast.
Yeah, I even thanked her, so we had a good time.
I mean, many of the combatants didn't show up. I don't know what that's all about. But it seemed to be more like a contest for everybody by the end of it.
It was nice to get together with the community once again.
It really was.
And we were outside, so we were able to smoke and stuff like that. It was a nice night.
So Karen didn't show up.
Yeah.
She was up against Jeff Lundstrom.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to out-jab Jeff.
No.
He is a pillow.
He is a pillow.
So obviously he knows how to fight like a pillow. So, I don't know how she is a joint rolling, but, Lum has been rolling joints all his life, so he's no slouch at that either. In fact, he rolled me a nice one there that night. And so, she didn't come.
No.
She backed out.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jeff is at singing, but he hangs out with a bunch of celebrity rock and roll stars and what have you, so, he's probably got that under control as well. And I know he was training hard.
Yeah.
So they put a mannequin in his place.
In
he's in the ring.
In her place.
In her place.
Sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the mannequin stepped in for Karen. Well, the mannequin just wouldn't give up. She took everything that Jeff had and wouldn't give up. So anyway, it was such a fun night. There was a lot of really cool stuff that went on there. A lot of really cool people showed up there.
Yep.
There was one random guy that actually knows Cheryl and Haley that was in the audience, and when Sterling was finished doing his karaoke version of I Bought Peaches, whatever.
Whatever.
I don't know what that
Yeah.
was, Sterling. You might want to look at the tape on that, but anyway, somebody pipes up from the audience that they could do a song.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, the whole night contest had been thrown open to everybody.
Anybody
and it was everybody against everybody, I think, is what happened. So I probably didn't win the whole thing anyway, but I certainly won against Asia, even though I didn't do anything myself.
No.
But that's fine. But so this guy gets up there, and Cheryl says to me, he's a musician.
Oh.
So he picks this really difficult sort of hip-hop rap song and just nailed it. And he didn't just nail the complicated words and music, but he had, all the action. He was...
Yeah.
And Asia was good with her dude looks like a lady.
Yeah, I saw the video.
I'm not sure, what the theme of that was, but anyway, that dude Asia looked like a lady up there dancing away to that, and the choreography on that was a little bit different too. So she probably brought a ringer in for that as well. Anyway, this guy he stole the show.
Yeah.
A good way to wrap it up, actually. And then they had the awards after that. But I met him outside and I talked to him and I said, Sam, I'm not sure it's okay for you to step up there and outdo Haley. She had it won before you got up there. You know? But a very interesting guy. I might have him on the show as well.
Cool.
It was a great networking event. A lot of old friends, some new ones, really cool, interesting people. A lot of great conversation going on all night long. And a highlight was all these other little events that were happening. So pot fights was incredible. Very happy that she did it. Very happy I got to go. Thank you, Asia May Moon. 3 Happy Cats. If you want to look up 3 Happy Cats, I think there's probably video there of different things that happened that night.
Yeah.
And there may also be other opportunity for you there to maybe there's judges' kits that are still available perhaps or something like that. But check out 3 Happy Cats and Asia May Moon. And good on her for doing that. And maybe she's got another one or two up her sleeve as we really have this time now.
She's got her eye on 420. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens at 420.
See what the city does.
It will be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility of a Halloween event, and maybe we could do it in a hall instead of doing it outdoors at the art gallery. Because that's my big beef against the Halloween is that, October 30th weekend here in Vancouver, you are not guaranteed good weather at all.
Yeah.
And on a cold, wet, miserable day, I don't think that's a good time to be setting up vendors to try to attract people. I don't think
if it is that day, yeah. If it is raining that day,
yeah, and it wasn't last year. To be fair, it looked like it was going to right up to the day, and then they had a pretty decent day out of it.
Yeah.
And then there was also St. Patrick's Day, St. Fatty's Day, which was pulled off in March, right? That's March 17th.
Yes.
Is St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
And they got good weather for that as well. So lucky on that. There was also a Valentine's event last year.
Yeah.
In middle of February.
Will there be a Halloween this year?
In an outdoor plaza. Well, I mean, the way it's looking, there's people interested in organizing these things, so I'm not.
Yeah.
But, if they could get a hall like we had for this past Pot Fights event to do Halloween, that could be really, really cool.
Yeah.
There could be lots of cool stuff going on in that hall, people in costumes, contests, and other things like that. So,
but it's just too small, though. Like, we couldn't be able to hold like a 300-person crowd in there or anything like that.
I think it could hold 300 people because there's upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah, I thought I saw the limit was 194.
I don't think you probably can't smoke in there.
You can't smoke
194 was probably for upstairs.
Yeah, maybe it was just upstairs.
So, another 106 people downstairs isn't unreasonable. Yeah. They could set up some big tents outside. You could put heaters in the tents, and you could have that as the smoking area if they're not allowed to smoke in the hall. But so we'll see how all that works. I have no idea. Yeah. I'm just talking off the top of my head right now. But anyway, a great event. Thanks, Asia Moon. So then on Monday, yesterday, the Surrey chapter of the CSP, the Cannabis Substitution Program, had a fundraising barbecue at Holland Park in what is technically still sort of RCMP territory, although it's also technically now moving towards the Surrey Policing Department, or Surrey Policing Agency, whatever they're calling themselves. And we didn't see either group. We saw no representatives of any enforcement that were there. I don't know if they ever showed up.
No.
I was there around 4 o'clock, privileged and honored to be able to perform cannabis and give a little speech there to the assembled.
In Surrey.
In Surrey, several vendors at Holland Park. A really nice event, and great when you consider where it was.
Yeah.
It had that same feel to it, to me, as the early days of 420 and Cannabis Day had here in Vancouver, where you don't know if you're going to get away with it. You don't know if the cops are going to show up, and you're a little bit nervous and hesitant. But by the end of the day, when you pull it off and you've had a great event, nobody showed up to enforce any bad laws against you, that is a real success.
Yeah.
So good on them for doing that. Support your local CSP wherever you are, or your non-local CSP. Good to support. It's all by donations. The CSP has always been all by donations. We have the Halifax CSP run by Chris Backer, and always in need of donations there for sure. But they've been running for 5 years, helping out people that need help there in Halifax on the East Coast. There's the CSP in Surrey, as I mentioned, that just did this fundraiser with Rosie Rurka at the helm there. We've got the Heisenherd people that are now, they've rented space, and they're going to be opening a chapter in Langley. We've got Gary and Bridget that have spun off of the Surrey chapter to do their own chapter in Newton, and that's going really, really well. And so support your local CSP. Consider starting one up yourself. This is really important at this time. This is where the movement's at. We need to continue to protest legalization's barriers to access, and we need to continue to fight for low barrier, no cost, and low cost cannabis, reasonably priced by farmers, reasonably accessing the marketplace with pricing that is up to them and not the government. And we're going to keep protesting until we get that, and that's what it's all about, and that's how you can help. So that's what I know on that one.
Almost came to the show without my teeth today.
Oh!
Well, they're doing the last fitting, and they didn't tell me that they would have to keep them overnight. So I went there this morning and no, sorry, we can't do that.
So if that had been the case, would you have come with no teeth?
No. No, we changed it the next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday.
I think if I didn't have my teeth or one of my eyes or
I was like, how am I going to
something.
do the show like this? And he said, you guys didn't tell me it was happening. Oh, she was supposed to. All she said was, are you coming? I said, yeah. I said, have a nice long weekend. She said, great, have a nice long weekend. And that was it.
Nice.
Right? So now I got to go back. So I won't be able to eat very much next Thursday, but whatever.
Minor bumps in the road.
Yeah, I'll fast for a day, right?
It's been a really positive thing.
Yeah.
Because you needed them.
Yeah.
And how's Cannabis?
Cannabis is still growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More new members?
I had 3 new members this week so far. So
nice.
Yeah, getting there. We've updated the app. I've seen the app.
Look at the plants in the background.
I know, isn't that a great shot?
Yeah, that's a great shot.
There you go. Hey, see? Put them on the stool.
I'm not sure the plants are happy, but we're happy to have them.
We don't know. We have to get that one of those devices.
So one of the things that they
have
did.
You seen that device?
So one of the things that they did at pot fights was they had live pot plants on the stage.
Yeah.
And they had this device that you hook it up to the leaves or stalk or whatever, and it interprets the biorhythms of the plant into music.
Yeah, I never saw that, but I've
heard of it before.
Videos. You actually saw
I remember talking about stories about how that was the case, that the plants could sing and make music and stuff. So I wasn't there when the plants first arrived and they tested it. Mm-hmm. I was there in the evening when they were going to let the audience experience what these plants sound like. Yeah. 2 different strains, 2 large plants, very different music from both of them, other than that both were very mellow. So the music was really mellow, it was ambient, soft, but really nice. Wow, eh? But different from the 2 strains.
And this was in Surrey?
No, this is at the pot fights.
Oh, at pot fights. Okay, yes.
And what I'm told is that when they brought the plants there earlier in the day and hooked them up just to test it, that the plants were singing a much livelier tune. Daytime. Yeah. And in the nighttime, they're quieter, much more mellow.
Sleeping.
Amazing technology.
Yeah.
Amazing.
$600 for that device.
Is that right?
$600.
Wow.
Yeah, because she sent me the video and I said, oh, I would do is one of these in the swag bag. She goes, I wish there's $600 a piece, right? Wow. Yeah, they're really expensive.
But what amazing technology.
Yeah.
I mean, not just for cannabis plants, it's for whatever plants you want.
In the video, it wasn't doing any cannabis plants.
There's people out there putting albums together.
Really, eh?
Going around testing all their house plants, seeing which ones go with which. They're harmonies. Probably got several of these boxes at the same time.
It could be amazing. To get AI to make a song out of it or something, bro.
But this is AI in that aspect, an intelligent device that can somehow take vibrations and frequencies and everything.
Well, somebody had to write that
everything
code.
Is vibration. Everything is in frequencies. To turn that into listenable music.
Yeah. But that's only that person who invented its interpretation of that sound. It's not, because
he's assigned different sounds to different things.
You have to put a code in for it to recognize to produce the sound, right? So it does take somebody.
So he's decided certain vibrations equal certain frequencies.
Exactly, and then
matched it with different musical instruments.
What he's assigned to that sound, right?
What a wonderful
world. She could have been a girl who made them.
They,
yes.
Whoever they were.
Yeah, I was at the lawyer's office today, and the secretary goes, what pronoun do you use? I said, I'm 58 years old. I don't use no pronouns. I said, that's just for the younger generation. You're right.
What we always have said in our generation is, you call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for dinner. Yeah. We were a little more easygoing about what people called us back in the day. For me personally, if they were trying to be insulting, I would make them prove it. You'd have to, call me 3 or 4 different nasty names first or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But just because somebody honestly misgenders somebody or whatever, I mean, this is no reason to get all upset.
Yeah.
Especially if there's some debate as to how it is that you even look. I mean, you can understand why people might make mistakes, and who cares is my point. Why do you care? Why do you care so much?
Just the way it is right now. Yeah.
I know, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. There's reasons to care, I'm sure.
I'm Mr. Wells,
Everybody's got
Sir Wells, Glenn Wells, whatever you want to call me.
Hey, buddy, that's what I call it.
Carol Francie. Oh, yeah, right. 2 strains, 2 plants, mellow. Laughing aloud, I think it's absolutely true. There's a video on YouTube, quieter at night. Yeah.
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 Yeah, they certainly were.
Yeah.
So based on what I was told, anyway, I didn't hear them the first part, but when the people that had heard that in the
I
meeting,
just
they
don't
were
have
like, wow,
$600 to put out right now to see what that thing does.
well, we would have if there wasn't prohibition of cannabis and,
Yeah.
and over-regulation and that legalization wasn't profiting the rich and not everybody, because this amazing plant that is easy for people to grow would be grown by so many people if it wasn't like restricted by the government, and then we would all be benefiting. We would all be benefiting. More people, ordinary, normal people, would have more money. We would all be way better off. We'd be healthier, happier, wealthier. But the government has decided that they're going to be an instrument for making sure that it's just the financial elite of this planet, their corporate buddies and friends, and I guess there's good reason for it. Those are the ones that really finance those people into power. But they're going to maintain protections to make sure those people make all the money and the rest of us all suffer. Even though, thanks to liberal policies and the pandemic, the economy is through the roof. People are losing homes and starving all over the place in this great country of ours. Prime Minister is musing about food restrictions now. They seize bank accounts of people who want to protest what's going on. They're charging us through the nose for cannabis. Whenever you're smoking cannabis that you paid for at some sort of government licensed outlet, just know that Trudeau's got a portion of that money. And he's taken $1 a gram for every gram sold through his cartel in Canada here. $448 for every pound of cannabis. Now, when you say pound of cannabis, those of you that are familiar with the community and with cannabis, doesn't sound unusual. Sounds like several hundreds of dollars. That's what pounds of cannabis cost. But a pound of cannabis, in comparison to a pound of any other fruit, vegetable, or herb that a farmer would put into a plot of land and produce to make money off of it, is as easy or easier to grow than heirloom tomatoes and most of those other things that are being grown. Produces more biomass per cubic meter than anything else that a farmer would grow. They grow it properly and use sunshine and just natural soils and the rest of it, they can produce for very little money. And if there was incentive to do that, if those farmers were incentivized to produce good cannabis cheaply, then they would. And the price would keep going down and keep going down. And even if it went down to $20 a pound, the farmers would still be making a better buck than on the cabbage or the lettuce or the cucumbers or the celery or whatever else that they might grow. And you and I would be getting really good quality cannabis at a really good price. Now, just like anything else, there's luxury models. There's growers that have a reputation. There's methods of growing that produce slightly better cannabis than could be grown in the method that I'm referring to with farmers. It costs a lot of money. There's no reason why they can't charge whatever they want for their cannabis. $200 a gram. Nobody's going to buy that, are they? Well, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Somebody's going to look at that and go, hey, $200 a gram, man. Nobody's ever had one of those before. I want me one of those.
Yeah. Be like $100 a joint.
And they may enjoy smoking it more than the $5 gram or the 20-cent gram. At 20 cents a gram, a pound of cannabis is still close to $100. So why are we paying $20 a gram in government stores for cannabis?
Up to $20, yeah. And
beyond, 22 is the most I've heard of.
Really, eh?
But they're still to introduce more craft growing.
I don't know that. I've never gone in there.
As they started, their baseline was shit. So when they started, selling in the stores, it was old, dry, crappy, non-potent weed. I mean, it was just not anything that any cannabis connoisseur would ever want to smoke.
Yeah.
That was the base that they started at. Then it started getting a little better, but the price goes up too, because that's the plan, right? You start shitty with a high price, and then you make it better and increase the price. Then you make it again and increase the price some more. Oh, man. You want to talk for a couple minutes?
Do you take this call?
I really do, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess Neil really has to take this call.
I have to. It's government.
All right. So, I'll take over for a little bit. So, Dave Fisher's, okay. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, government weed, man. It sucks. They irradiate it. What else they do? They raise the price on it. You don't get any deals on quarters or half ounces or ounces. You pay $10-12 a gram straight up. You're only allowed to buy 30 grams a day at that store, but you can go to another store and buy another 30 grams if you want to. But who's got that kind of money, right? They are explicitly allowing craft cannabis coming in. How hard it's been to renew my grow. Oh, it's been so hard to renew my 100-gram license that they've actually refused me, and now we have to do a judicial review. So I've waited over 5 years to finally get a refusal. I have PTSD and scoliosis, and I juice my marijuana and I bake with it. Well, I don't bake. I have other people who bake for me because I have a child in my house, so I don't do that kind of stuff in the house. But so I barter a lot of the stuff that I was trying to get. I have a designated grower. He's filled out the forms. We're just sitting there, waiting, right? And so now we have to do this judicial review, which is actually happening with Neil and his CSP also. So, okay. I don't know who that person is, but we should get rid of that person. Yeah. I'm not trying to be rude. Okay, well, calling somebody a pig is not a very nice thing to say, but okay. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I have PTSD and scoliosis, so it's been really beneficial cannabis in my life. It's kept me clean off of crack cocaine for over 25 years, and it's helped me lose weight. Helped me create Countermatch, the 420 friendly dating and meeting site. I think they're talking about someone else, not you. Okay, well, thank you. Are you back?
I'm back. This is actually my front.
The front, yeah.
It looks a little different than my back. It's slightly not as good looking, but that's what I...
And Neil was feeding me questions, so I had something to talk about. Yeah. He said, tell us about how hard it's been to renew your grow up. So, thank you,
Wow,
Neil.
yeah, that's a topic too, eh?
Yeah.
This whole thing is ridiculous. I mean...
you got a judicial review.
And it's great that he asked those questions, because it really segues us nicely into what we need to talk about next.
Oh, and that is?
Well, our journey here in trying to get our license at the CSP. What's been going on with medical users, in getting their licenses renewed for their own personal grows or DGs is utterly disgusting.
Yeah.
It takes, how many years?
It took 5 years for them to refuse.
5 years.
5 years.
So you have some serious medical issue. You go to your doctor. He's got a variety of options for you. He'll decide which one is best. He'll write it on a piece of paper. And you will go downstairs, and a drugstore adjacent to his office will fill your prescription, and you will, within 20 minutes, have the toxic, dangerous, narcotic drugs that the doctor has decided is best for you. Unless the doctor decides that what's best for you is cannabis. In that case, well, he says, all right, I'll allow you to use cannabis. Here's what you do. You go and register with the permission I give you with only one of the licensed producers that are out there providing for people, and you get to then pick from a strain that they have, and then they'll mail it to you.
But you got to pay their prices too.
And you got to pay their prices. That's right, because the other drugs that they're going to allow you to have are covered.
Yeah.
All of us taxpayers pay for everybody's drugs here in Canada. That's the way that works. But not cannabis. Cannabis you're going to pay for yourself, You're not going to go downstairs and get some dispensed to you. You can't use it until you get it through them. And a year later, your license is going to expire that even allows you to do that. You've got to go through getting relicensed, and they take 5 years to relicense you.
Yeah. Well, no, then they refuse you.
And then they refuse you.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now we have the.
They told you can reapply at a lower amount than what you're
3 to 5 grams a day.
Than what you're used to taking. So what are you used to having? What's your original license?
My original license was 20 grams.
So they want you to go from 20 grams a day down to 3 to 5 grams a day.
I was trying to get 100. So
you and your doctor had decided that you needed to increase the amount.
Because it's been 40 years.
And Health Canada, in their corruption, or wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, decides that, no, you don't get to up the amount.
Wrong.
You're not getting older with your scoliosis and your PTSD and the problems that we have in old age. You're not getting more frail in old age. You must be getting healthier. You must be getting healthier because we've decided that by now you should only need 5 grams a day instead of 20 grams a day or the 100 grams a day that your doctor thinks that you should probably be allowed to have.
Yeah. 5 grams wouldn't even make me a dozen edibles. What am I supposed to do? Like, it's
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
Be a criminal.
Well, and what happened to me, the doctor was the one who overruled everybody. Like, a doctor could overrule a ship's captain by just being the doctor, saying that person is not...
Look what Bonnie Henry did here in BC.
You know what I'm just saying? So what happens, how can Health Canada not go to medical school and refuse what a doctor has written saying that this patient needs this? Who are they?
It's incredible.
Really, they're not the trained specialists that I have. I have a pain specialist who wrote that prescription. Not just a general practitioner, but a pain specialist. So,
and paralleling with the CSP experience, we also have Dr. M.J. Malloy and Professor Zachary Walsh, the foremost expert in the field. He's acknowledged as being the foremost expert in the field on replacement cannabinoid therapies. Wrote us a powerful letter because of what we're doing in providing access to these edibles and cannabis to people to help them get through withdrawal and get off the hard drugs. He said that our work is invaluable. We are saving lives. He said in his letter that our work needs to be protected by government, allowed to expand, supported, and there need to be no barriers placed in front of what we're doing here in this neighborhood.
And it's been barrier after barrier after barrier.
3 years of barrier after barrier after barrier.
Yeah.
2 intents to deny in the middle of all these negotiations, which were no negotiations. They would send, twice they sent an intent to deny letter. Twice we responded with powerful, positive, unbeatable reasons why their reasons don't trump our reasons as to why we need to be licensed to do what we're doing here. No actual conversations of any sort. No physical representation of anybody from Health Canada to ever come down here. The fellow who was originally, and for the first 2 years or so, maybe 2.5 years, in charge of the Special Licensing and Exemption Division of Health Canada, who we were dealing with, Mr. Benoit Seguin, he's a sports management, he's a professor of sports business management.
Oh, wow. Nothing to do with cannabis.
Nothing to do with cannabis.
Just business
Nothing
management.
to do with medical.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with opioid addiction and misuse.
Yeah.
And they are going to decide for us that we can't keep doing what we're doing?
Saving people's lives. That's crazy.
It's the most outrageous...
How can governments...
I don't have words, I try to find words that are powerful enough to speak to what is going on here, and I can't find them. Murder is the only word that I think comes close. Is that Health Canada, the federal Liberal government at this point, are involved in actual premeditated murder of our people who have gotten themselves addicted to these opioids and find themselves unable to get it supplied through legal channels and come down to places like this, or however they're getting it scored. It gets delivered, it gets mailed all over Canada, in every region of Canada, in all demographics of people. People are dying of this poison drug supply. And the government is willfully negligent in not doing their due diligence, which we've done for them, by the way. Us and numerous other people, Ted Smith and many other people, have done their due diligence. These lawyers that have put these cases forward over the years, all that information is now there. They can't plead ignorance on this. They're willfully blind. They're criminally negligent. They're delinquent in what they are doing. And they're murdering people. They're premeditatedly murdering people because they will not. They are forcefully restricting access to that which would save people's lives. Forcefully restricting with our tax dollars and putting our families at risk to protect the interests of the rich. It can't get much worse than this.
It's almost like assisted suicide. Because they're giving them the clean supply so that they can keep doing it. And every time you put a needle in your arm from something from the street, you're taking a chance that you're going to die. And a lot of those people would be happier off if they were dead instead of out on the street living where they are.
A lot of these people are taking the MAID program and are being killed by governments and doctors.
Wow. Because
their life is hopeless.
Yeah.
And their life is hopeless because they can't see a way out of this economic struggle that we have. And they're addicted to drugs that they can't get off of.
So the government says, here, have some more, so some cannabis, and hide those edibles for a week, and you'll be good, and you'll be feeling better, and you'll be able to change your life. It's crazy.
I couldn't be more appalled.
I know.
It's been this way for a long, long time. I couldn't be more appalled either.
And the people I shared the story with are the same way appalled, right? You weren't there at Surrey, but somebody asked, and then Rosie asked me to speak up about it, so I told the person about it. He was appalled too. It's crazy how people can walk around here with 2.5 grams of heroin, speed, cocaine, or whatever, the meth, or PCP or whatever, and not need a prescription.
I don't think PCB is included.
What, isn't it? Okay. But not have to carry
What's
around.
a cop going to do when you got some powder that's PCB and it's not meth and it's not fentanyl and it's not crack cocaine?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Is he going to know that that's what that is right there? No, he's not. Of course he's not.
They get
He's not got no tester on him to test us. He's not going to do none of that stuff. He's just going to say, okay, you go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead. Or you got 2.5 grams of five different kinds of powders on you.
Really?
And you go ahead.
Yeah.
Not that they should be arrested. That was always horrible too. This whole thing is horrible. Ass backwards, inside out, upside down. But it makes no sense. It drives people crazy. It's a logic-free zone. Prohibition doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Not at all.
There's a plant here.
Right here?
Okay, I'm going to put a plant here. I'm going to give you a little example of what's going on here. So this is a natural plant grown in nature, living on this planet with us, and there it is. And there it is, and it's just sitting there.
Can't see it.
It's been. Oh, they can't see it.
No.
Oh dear.
You're just holding your hand.
Oh no, that's not
Put it up there.
Sure, well, maybe.
Maybe. There you go. That might work.
It might work.
Yeah, that's gonna work.
Yeah.
There we go. Now they can see it.
Dancing needle.
Oh, I can see you.
I don't know. Maybe. It didn't look right.
At least it's
For
there.
some reason, it didn't look right to me.
Yeah, alright, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, so we got some plant matter here.
Hey, man. Not feeling good at all.
Yeah.
Haven't slept in days. I don't know what's going on. I got a lot of pain. And you say to me, well, there's this plant.
I got something here for you.
you got something. We could use that, too.
Yeah.
We got something here for you.
Yeah.
A couple minutes later, we got one of these here for you.
Yeah. Out the little paper and rolling, some scissors or grinding.
So now we got that for you.
Yeah.
You can have that, and that might help you. It's helped lots of other people that we know of. But there's this other dude that comes along and goes, hey, I'm from the government. That looks to me like it has THC on it.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have that.
Is that government THC?
Yeah. Now, unless it's government THC.
Yeah, then it's okay.
Then it's okay. You can have that.
Yeah.
But prior to that, it's a plant on the planet, and that the government thinks that they can, enact laws that mean that just having a little bag of that in your pocket is a crime. A crime. So it's equivalent to punching somebody in the head and taking their wallet.
No, yeah, but it's not, right?
But it's not.
It's not, no.
And even if you punch a guy in the head and take his wallet, you get less of a penalty than if they find you with a little bag of that you didn't steal from anybody, and the only thing you thought was going to happen is that maybe it was going to work for you. Maybe you were going to finally get some sleep and the pain would subside, because that's what Buddy told you might happen. It can't be more ludicrous than that. Except it is. Because the government's answer to, you don't need this. I know this used to, for millions of years, been part of what you people took for medicine. What you need is a pill.
Yeah. You got some over there?
I might even have a pill over here.
You might just have a pill over there somewhere?
So here's a pill. This is what we got for you.
And it's free.
Like, I know you don't know what's in there because you can't tell.
No.
As opposed to a plant, which you can see that's just a flower from a particular plant that's been dried. But the government's going to say, no, you don't need this. In fact, we're going to make sure you don't get that. We're going to give you this instead.
Mm-hmm.
But the penalty for having this is severe.
Yeah. Jail time.
That much weed right there has put numerous, hundreds and thousands of people in jail in the United States. Maybe some of it here in Canada. I think you have to have a little more than that in Canada, maybe. But it depends on the circumstances for sure, right? But in the States, that can get you serious jail time.
Yep.
That can get you a serious monetary fine.
Mm-hmm. That
can cause you to lose your job, to be unemployable, to no longer be able to travel. A whole bunch of stuff like that, as you can tell, would be very painful.
Mm-hmm.
It would hurt a person really bad.
It would.
Why would they do that? Well, their premise is that this is dangerous, this will hurt you, and to protect you, we, your government of public servants, are going to hurt you real bad if you use that, because that's going to hurt you worse than losing your job and going to jail and breaking up your family.
You won't be able to get a good job
taking
because
your
you
kids.
have a criminal record.
I know.
Stuff like that, right?
All of that, yeah. This must be more dangerous. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
If it was logical. This is what I'm proving. It's not a logic. There's no logic involved here. You would think that this bud of cannabis would have to be more dangerous than all that shit that they're going to do to you for having it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Which it's not.
Or whose best interests do they have in mind? Why is this government person there saying you can't have that? Is it really because he loves you and he cares about you and he knows that this dangerously explosive, radioactive, and contagious virus that you have there is going to harm you in serious ways and he's going to punch you to the ground to keep you from having it? Is that what he's doing? Is that why he's there doing that? Because he personally knows and he personally cares and he loves you so much that he's willing to beat you up just to keep you from hurting yourself? Mm-hmm. Is that what's going on there? No. That's the only thing that would make any logical sense. Maybe there's one other. Maybe this is really, really rare.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the medicine that they say this. Maybe this is what would stop a young lady from having grand mal seizures and seizures.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
Maybe it's so valuable.
Yeah.
And that maybe there's so little of it that you only can get it under certain circumstances. And the government, to protect those poor seizing people and those poor sick people, have to make sure that nobody else has more than they're supposed to have because we don't have enough for the people that really need it.
Yeah.
That could be another scenario.
But
those are the only two I can think of.
Like you say, there's not enough money in this for them to do that, right? They'd rather have you on those seizure medications. They'd rather have you on that epilepsy
well, that's the other thing. That's right.
Right? And instead of taking this little bit of bud and having a normal life, like I know a lady in Mission who her mom was with her 24/7, had to do everything for her. Now she takes oil. Her mom doesn't have to shop for her, cook for her, any of that thing now. Her mom has a life, and so does Sarah. All because of cannabis oils. Right?
Billy Blair.
Yeah.
Remember Billy Blair?
Yes.
He's still around. He's still a minister of something or other.
Oh, that guy. He's a cop,
He was a police chief for a while.
Yeah.
He had many
police.
nasty things to say about people that would choose this over this.
Mm-hmm.
And you were right, by the way, just on that point. they make a shit ton of money on this. They make nothing on that. You can grow that one yourself.
Yeah. And heal yourself or make yourself feel a lot better.
This stuff here, imagining that that's a prescription pill of some sort of synthetic mimic of a plant that they're using to treat something or other. You don't even feel the cost. The government pays for it, but the government has no money. The government only has our money.
Yeah.
So the government is subsidizing and paying for the pill medication for millions of Canadians to the tune of trillions of dollars that are going into the pockets of the pharmaceutical companies, who in turn provide all kinds of perks, bonuses, benefits, trips, donations, all these different ways that they make sure that those people that are your public servants are going to protect this and keep you from getting access to this.
Yeah.
So there's that money side of it as well.
And even on the hemp side, if we were growing hemp, we probably would be paying a carbon tax, or we'd be paying a lot less in the carbon tax. So let's not let them grow hemp so that we can keep charging them for a carbon tax on gas and everything else like that, on flying in a plane and all kinds of stuff. Why not, right? Because hemp will take in 10 times more of the carbon dioxide than a tree does, and we can grow hemp 3 or 4 times in a year, and it can do a lot for our environment.
If you all thought that the whole reason behind corporations co-opting our governments into protecting things was about pills, well, you'd be pretty seriously mistaken there. It's a big one, but it's not the biggest one. Mm. The biggest one is fuel.
Yeah, fuel.
In fact, you could take this bud and this joint. Well, you wouldn't need the joint, because joint means we're talking about people ingesting it for health reasons. But you could put numerous things. I could put a little can of gas up here, and we could compare that. I could put some clothing up there, and we could compare that. Paper, cement, on and on it goes. The uses of cannabis are to the tune of thousands of different uses. It makes varnish, it makes sealants, it just goes on. Read Jack Herer's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, to see 50,000 different uses for cannabis. You could have 50,000 other different things over on the other side of my little compare table there. And cannabis is going to win every time. It is just the most hypocritical, upside down thing in our environment by a country mile. And there's a lot of things upside down. By the way, this is a vitamin pill.
This is a vitamin pill.
It is, but it was good for a prop.
Spinach.
Nobody knows until you tell. You can tell the cop. You can tell the cop that, but you don't have to, because it doesn't matter if you have any number of extremely volatile and toxic pharmaceutical pills. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You know, you can have that. You're good to go.
Yeah.
So the government's sending in young people to buy cannabis from licensed retail outlets.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they do that with smokes too.
Yep.
Because I used to work in an Esso station, and we were informed that there could be somebody coming in to try to buy smokes if we don't ID them and stuff like that. So it's not just that they do it with cannabis; they probably do it with alcohol too. You know, they've got to keep people working, I guess. I don't know, right? Young kids who want to be in the law enforcement get a step in and see what it's like, I guess, to do the paperwork.
When we're talking about commercial tobacco, I mean, that stuff is deadly. It's addictive.
So is alcohol.
So preventing access to youth on a retail level from that, I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I think that makes sense. There's a lot of things that happen when you do that, though, right?
I think the parents should be able to buy for their children if they wish, because they know their child better than the government does, right?
100%.
So here in British Columbia, there's no law on when you can leave a child alone, right? It's up to the maturity of the child, and the parents have to make that decision. So why can't they do the same thing with cannabis? Because there may be some 14-year-olds who do need it, and if they're not going to get it from a parent who is able to get it for them, they're going to go to somewhere else, which could be dangerous.
So I don't know about cigarettes.
Yeah.
I think that any parent that would encourage or support commercial cigarette use with their children need to get their head examined, right?
I know what you're thinking.
They need to have an input of some data with respect to the carnage that is wreaked on human beings who inhale that smoke for
Well, the younger
long periods of
generation
time.
now, they said statistically there's less people smoking nowadays. So
Smoking cigarettes.
The younger generation is catching on to that
Yeah,
part.
there's an
right?
increase in the younger generation
But I don't
smoking
think
cannabis
I don't
and a
think the
decrease in...
parents pushing it on now. It's the children seeing the parents as smoking as they're growing
No,
up.
but we're
This
talking
is what
about
it's like to
we're
be an
talking about
adult.
parents allowing their children.
Yeah,
With alcohol, it just makes sense.
yeah.
Your child is not all of a sudden an adult when they turn 19, 18, or 21, whatever
No.
the laws are in your area.
Yeah.
They don't all of a sudden that next morning wake up and now they're mature and they're going to handle alcohol properly.
Yeah, no.
So, if alcohol is a part of your family, it's used at social occasions or whatever as a medicine for people that need to unwind at night or whatever, and you think that, and in moderation, of course, it is all right. There's not a problem with alcohol in moderation. So I think it makes sense for parents to have the right to introduce alcohol to their teenagers when they feel it's appropriate.
Appropriate, yeah.
As for commercial tobacco, like I say, there's really no redeeming value to that.
No.
I can't think of any responsible parent that would want their child to be a smoker.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. You probably don't even have to have that law there because parents wouldn't do it. And then retailers shouldn't sell it to them. And that's all fine, for sure. But the overreach of government, when it's corrupt, needs to stop. It needs to be addressed. That's what we need to really revisit in our democracy, is where governments are overreaching into our lives with restrictions and regulations and laws and things that are born out of corruption, that are not there because they love you and care about you and they want to make these laws to help you. They're there because they've got financial investments from supporters of theirs, the financially elite of this country or the world, that dictate a lot of what they do. That needs to stop. And when it can be shown, that needs to be a serious, heinous crime. So, in criminal justice, you have a set of scales with the old woman holding. Well, she's not that old.
Yeah.
She actually looks
Lady
pretty,
Justice.
actually looks pretty hot. I don't think she's an old lady. But in any case, all the embodiment of a female holding a set of scales to symbolize justice.
Or balance.
Where on the one side, if a person is brought before this blindfolded matriarch to plead their case, the evidence against them goes on one side of the set of scales.
Yeah.
And if it is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, all of these different aspects, that there was intent, that there was damage done, that you've met your victim, then that has a weight to it that pulls down that set of scales. And then the job of that matriarch, a blindfolded, wise woman, is to balance those scales with a penalty that makes sense, that serves a couple of different purposes. It deters the person from doing again, and it deters other people from doing again, and it recoups some of the costs of the damage that was caused. And so that's the reason for all of that, and that's how that's all supposed to work. So applying that justice to the public servants involved in corruption, well, as it becomes proven that they knew what they were doing, that they profited from what they were doing, that there were people harmed by what they did, the harm that they caused goes on one side of the set of scales.
Well, the government would be like way
The
down.
government would be like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
When they can be proven to have knowingly caused damage to make money for friends, that is a crime. And based on how justice is determined with the older matriarch and the scales and how much damage did they do, well, it is an extremely heinous crime. When somebody in a position of power, when they have a position of privilege, where they have a responsibility beyond a normal person to do the right thing. When they do the wrong thing, that requires a serious penalty.
Yeah.
But we don't have that going on here.
No.
Somehow our public servants have passed legislation, which are just words that they came up with, that they voted on and decided to uphold, that they put a signature on and put behind glass, and now that's law. And they can make law whatever they want, can't they? Well, maybe if they're a dictator, or a pharaoh, or a king, or some guy that is taken over by force, all of these people, and they're not citizens, they're subjects, maybe he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Maybe.
You know, he's got armed people ready to use violence against the masses of people, and they're going to conform. And they're going to be Christians if he says so. Or they're going to be Catholics if he says so. And if they're not, they're going to be stoned to death. Or beheaded. Or all these other things that these tyrants and dictators and pharaohs could do to people if they so chose. But this is not that, is it? This is not. We're not living in a kingdom.
No.
Are we?
It's supposed to be a democracy. Right?
Are we not supposed to be citizens here? Are these people that make these decisions and decide to craft these laws, are they not servants of ours? Are they not answerable to us and to higher powers for what they do? Apparently not. Apparently the highest office in the land is the PMO.
Yep.
And they can make whatever laws they want.
The king.
The king.
The king can have a royal.
They got to have royal assent,
They have
apparently.
to have a royal assent, yes. So
Which,
there is somebody else above them.
All right, and I rail against the king too.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. If you were a king, wouldn't you do nice things for people? If you had all the money that guy's got,
Maybe
all the leverage, all the property, wouldn't you just want to find the people that were most needy and help them? And wouldn't you want to be seen? Because if you got all that money and all of that stuff, what don't you have? The respect of other people.
Well, yeah.
So why wouldn't you use all that money to gain respect? Help the poor. Don't oppress people to make more money. Don't service the needs of the people that are already making too much money. But that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
You know? The king needs more money. He needs a piece of everything. And he's paying off all these other people.
Taxes.
With, you know.
Yes.
I need a puff.
Anyway, yeah, it's 20 to 6. I should be out of here. Yeah, it's 5:38. It says right there. I know, eh? I know. But that's what we do here every week.
That's what we do. We just
we
yabber away, and
We
then
talk about stuff that comes up, and we just get it out.
time disappears.
Yeah,
And then
that's what they say when you're having fun. Time
I
flies.
believe in always having fun. You know
Yeah,
that.
I know that. All right, we'll see you next week. Well, we'll see you on Thursday, actually. But yeah,
Is it Thursday this week?
Yeah, it's Thursday this week.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to change the schedule.
Oh yeah, you thought it was Wednesday last week too,
I thought-
and you called me and said no, remember it's Thursday. You
Yeah,
went,
but I thought we were going Wednesdays now for a while till further notice.
All right, no problem.
No problem. What, you're coming Wednesday?
No, we'll see you Thursday. All right, have a great day.
Pot fights.
Yeah.
Oh, the 42 Live. That's what
That's
that
what
is.
that
I
was,
was going to
yeah.
say pot fights. I didn't really think that the 42 Live contest was very good.
All right.
I mean, there was enough good things in the judges' kit, and maybe I'm wrong, but there was not a lot of input from the people judging as to what it was and why they thought things were better than others.
No, we just have to put down a number and stuff like that.
You know, just one in each category, and that doesn't give like a second or a third, some runner-ups. What we're trying to do in these cannabis cups is provide especially medical people that need cannabis, with information from their peers about what works well. And so that's the main idea. And so the growers and the producers of these extracts and edibles and things, they are wanting to produce a product that is going to serve the needs of these people that need it the best. And so they want to enter into a contest to see where they're at as far as the competition goes, and to let other people know about their product and stuff like that. So anyway, that was all good. A little bit diverted there, but that's that's what typically these cannabis cups are all about. And so you want to get expert connoisseur med users sampling all of these things and then providing input to gauge for other people so they know when they're in the marketplace what it is that's got a good reputation and what has been judged on by peers and stuff like that. Completely off the topic of what we're talking about, except that we're dealing with a bunch of people that need good quality cannabis. And it is a good idea to be able to have some reference and some ability to know which of the cannabis that's available is of use to people, especially strains. You know, particular strains have different cannabinoid profiles, providing different medical relief in different ways. Individually different for each person, but generally able to be determined that this strain is good typically for most people for this condition, etc., etc. And what we're trying to do is help people find the strains that work for them in dealing with their particular medical issues here at the CSP, but primarily in a form of ingestion that will allow them to navigate the harsh waters of withdrawal. And for some people it's brownies, and for other people it's gummies, and for other people it's caps, and for other people it's the FECO. And the difference in dosages is also extreme between different people with different needs. And so we're just here providing that option. It should be easy. It should be a no-brainer. Cannabis is certainly a very popular commodity in our environment, in our society. The numbers indicating that 42% of adult Canadians have, at some point in their life, ingested cannabis, so it's not anything new for people. So therefore, it shouldn't be anything that's not available to people. And that's the thing that I didn't really touch on with Glenn, the way that I kind of meant to there, was that, it makes some sense with commercial tobacco to restrict sales to minors and some of those other regulations that are on that. But when you do that, you're also enticing a lot of people into doing something they wouldn't otherwise do. So when you say, all right, you're too young to have this, well, that makes a lot of young people go, oh yeah? Well, then that's what I'm going to focus on, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to find somebody old enough to buy it for me, and I'm going to go do it just because I'm not old enough. Because age is something that is transient, it's fluid, it moves. And you're not old enough today, but you are old enough tomorrow. And so part of the coming of age and the trying to achieve those higher levels of respect for age comes with people doing things before they're old enough. And that's an age-old game that's been going on for a very long time. And anybody that's a parent knows that 100%. That when you start telling your child they're too young for something, that they can't do something, well, they're going to go out of their way to prove you wrong and do it anyway, even if they have to do it behind your back. So making things prohibited is also glorifying them to those people that are a little bit rebellious, young, that sort of thing. Not to mention that, the ludicrousy in what we're trying to describe there is based on the fact that these are supposed to be public servants that have your best interests in mind, that you're actually willing to have money that you made go towards them for doing their job. So they're not really servants. They're not slaves that were captured and now they just work for you and all you got to do is feed them, because if you don't feed them, they don't work very well. No, these are people with lives and wives and houses and cars and aspirations for wealth. And they're doing the job because there's some monetary kickback to them. And it's a job. The classification of the job may well be public servant because that's the nature of what that job is all about. But in reality, they're not servants. They're doing a paid job. So we have agreed to pay these people to do what? Well, hopefully to serve our interests. I mean, why else would you pay somebody? That's the service that they're supposed to provide, is looking after our interests. So when they're deciding that even though, your daughter is suffering from numerous epileptic seizures on a daily basis and at risk of death and being seriously lifetime maimed, when they are deciding that you can't even try this controversial, at best, substance, or she's going to be a criminal and maybe taken away from the parents who really love her, and they're going to be penalized and maybe even jailed, and they live in fear if they go ahead anyway because they care more about their daughter than they do about anything else, and they go ahead and clandestinely use cannabinoids at risk of all of these things. When your public servants are deciding that that's a good thing to do, then they are no longer your public servants. They do not have your best interests in mind. And it's time for a change. Certainly, unfortunately, our public servants in Ottawa, both at the federal government level and within Health Canada, do not have the people's best interests in mind. Not only do they not care about those people that are afflicted with drug addiction, mostly through no fault of their own, but through careless doctors working on behalf of corrupt pharmaceutical companies, that they're going to actively restrict your access to a natural plant, then there's something seriously wrong with what's going on here. And I mean serious. This is not frivolity. This is not, well, some people want to have something else to get high with besides alcohol and some recreational pharmaceuticals. This is about life and death. This is about people's serious health issues. This is about the ruination of people's lives in an effort to protect them from a dangerous plant. This is about corruption gone to such a level that the emperor is naked. He's standing there, stark naked, bent over, prone, and motioning towards his ass. He is so vulnerable to the charge of corruption. There's really very little escape from it, except that the corruption runs so deep and so far that they pretty much own and control what the media has to say. They pretty much own and control what our supposedly independent court systems are doing. They own armies of well-armed and well-trained and well-brainwashed, militarized enforcement people. And that is the only way that they can continue to oppress people the way that they are. Without all of those things in place, we would all find ways to turn this thing around. But because they have those things in place, and they have so much money, so much power, so much history now of being able to manipulate and oppress people, that it's getting more and more difficult to turn all this around. And I don't really have the answer for it. I spoke with a gentleman the other day who thought that our rights are being violated because we have the right to vote about what our public servants are doing. And that right to vote doesn't mean every 4 years we get to vote. It should mean that we get a vote now. Not hard to do. If they can put serial numbers on every dollar bill, then they could figure out how we could all have our own little private voting system where we get to choose how we feel about things on an ongoing basis. And you can change your mind anytime you want. Makes a lot more sense to me. We all got these supposed smartphones. Let's use them to say, hey, yay or nay on a whole bunch of different things that matter. And let's get to a point in our democracy where no amount of people get to say yay or nay about each individual person's rights to sovereignty. That's not on the table. That's not within the realm of what other people get to decide for us. We need to be respected as individual sovereign beings. Nobody gets to tell us what we can or cannot do unless and until what we are doing is harming demonstrably, significantly, somebody else. That's the line. That's where we could have public servants, is if people let their own greed and selfishness, anger and hate, dictate choices that harm other people. That's what we could have some laws around and some enforcement around. But what you put into your body, what medicines you decide to take, what recreational trips you decide to go on, none of this stuff is anybody's business but yours. And perhaps your immediate family, people who actually do love you and care about you, they get to have a say in what you do or don't do. But they don't get to wrestle you to the ground. They don't get to punch you out. They don't get to confine you to a room. They don't get to harm you in a whole bunch of ways designed to try to help you be a better person. That's not on the table. Until we get to a world where we have these protections as sovereign beings, limited, accountable, transparent public servants who protect us from the corporate, greedy elite that will sacrifice our people in a heartbeat to make money. That's who we need protection from. That's what public service should be all about. Not having behind closed doors private lobbying go on by the rich and the powerful to determine how the regular people are governed. This system we have is broken. It needs a definite reset. It needs a rethink. It needs all of us to be able to put in our input about what things governments should and shouldn't be able to be involved in on our behalf. Because nobody alive today has had much to do with where we're at on how that's all going. This system of democracy predates any living human being now. And it's unacceptable. Yet you're born into it, it's explained to you, you figure it out, and you try to live your life navigating the course. It shouldn't have to be that way. We need mechanisms that allow us to return back to base, to reset those things that have gotten way out of control, to limit the powers of public servants to those that make sense. Well, that's what we talk about here on the show. But primarily what we typically talk about is where we are at, myself and the team of people that work with me, in this journey for freedom and resetting governments in ways that make sense. What we are doing is addressing the initial prohibition and the current so-called legalization that is really just another form of prohibition and over-regulation. Because it's leaving out vulnerable people that are suffering badly because of it. So we provide cannabis in a way that the government does not, and in a way that the Cannabis Act does not allow. And we do it every day for two reasons. One, because it's needed. That's what the people here need, or they are suffering and dying. So we're going to do it, no matter what. And the second one is because it's the right thing to do. This legalization that we've been given is nothing but by the rich, for the rich, maintaining all sorts of consequences, penalties, and harsh consequences for people that don't deserve it. So we're here to do it because it's needed, and we're here to demonstrate that it is what should be happening. and we're still up against it. So we got court coming up. We've had a final refusal from Health Canada after nearly 3 years of our application being in play, which is outrageous and abominable. And we're going to fight that with a judicial review, which is complicated because there's a lot of information that a judge is going to have to look at here to think about whether Health Canada is justified in denying our application. But that's coming up, and I still don't have a date for you on that. But on October 2nd, we're scheduled for the beginning of a preliminary hearing to decide whether we can go to trial in mid-November in a charter challenge against Health Canada, who we feel has been extremely delinquent in doing their duty to license and support in some way or exempt whatever it takes to allow this 6.5+ year demonstration to continue and expand. So I hope that you'll follow along with that. If you have anything that you can help us with, please do. We're going to go outside just for a minute or two to do our regular... A lovely day. Yes. Your weekly THC weather report on the downtown east side of Vancouver is beautiful. Sunny, nice temperature, not hot, not cold, nice little breeze coming through. It's beautiful. This is where we do our thing. We've been right here on this block for well, it'll be 3.5 years. No, it'll be 3. It was 3 years on June 9th. So we're now a couple months beyond the 3-year mark of doing what we're doing. We have the police station right there, 1 block up the street, not even.
The white building.
On the other side of the street, that's the courthouse there. We have prosecutors, sheriffs, police, criminals, non-criminals, walking up and down past here all the time. In November, it'll be 3 years since we had to move out of the store and into an RV because the municipal government decided not to license us like they said they would until Health Canada does. They're waiting for them, and we're still waiting for them. So in the meantime, we're in an RV.
There it is. The famous weed RV.
It's not the worst of situations, but it's also not the best of situations.
No.
We've had numerous attacks. We were broken into again night before last.
Again?
Again.
Wow.
Through the wood there because it was not put on properly. Got the smashed windshield and other things. Somebody came here yesterday and they said, so you're paying off all the right people, right? I said, no, I'm not paying anybody anything. He says, you're not giving nothing to the cops to let you sit here and do this? And you're not giving nothing to the local gangs?
No.
I said, no, we've never done that, and I wouldn't do that. And
No.
he said, well, how are you still here? I said, well, we're doing good work.
Yeah.
And even the local gangs that are selling the drugs that we're trying to get people off of, they understand who we are and what we're doing here. And there's been never any pressure on me at all to kick them back anything or do anything any different than we're already doing. And the cops, they did their work on behalf of Health Canada in raiding us and arresting us, but they didn't stop us. They didn't try to stop us. They didn't give us a no-go. They didn't tell us we couldn't do this anymore. We were doing it an hour after the raid happened. We were doing it while the raid was happening, actually.
Yeah.
But as soon as they were gone, we put up tents where the RV was because they took my RV that day. And we worked under the tents 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 5 weeks until they gave me the RV back. Why they did that, we're not really sure. But, all sorts of speculation on why they might have done that. Mm-hmm. In any case, the point is that we're not paying the cops, but they're more than tolerating us.
Yeah.
They know we're doing good work here. The individual cops on the beat stop me and tell me, they ask me how it's going. They tell me to keep doing what we're doing. So we don't have to pay anybody off to do what we're doing. All we have to do is do good work. All we have to do is help people and make that our focus, and we're golden here.
Yeah.
Except for, you want to go on Pot TV?
This is
You want to
live.
go on Pot TV? What's your name? Cadesborough, how are you, man?
I'm doing good.
And you've been to the RV, you got a couple joints there?
Yeah, I know how to make seeds out of chemical formula.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, that's awesome.
I used to do it when I was a kid, and I helped get the pot and weed.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what we're doing here helps you?
Yes, it helps me a lot.
Very good. If
It's
we
one
weren't
of my
here,
favorite inventions.
if we weren't here, what would you do? How would you get your weed, or would you get weed?
I began weed my best way, just hustling it out, getting my $20. But I use this way the most, because this way's the best.
Yeah.
And if we were in a store, if you could walk right into a store and you could see all the stuff that we have, and we had the same deals as we got now, wouldn't that be even better?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be an opportunity of Maximus.
That's what we're looking for. That's what we thought we should have by now, but the government refuses to give us a license. So once a week I go on Pot TV and we talk about how wrong that is and how corrupt the government is.
Yeah.
And we love to have people like yourself coming and telling us, that we're helping you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that a
You
lot,
guys
man.
need to start what's it called? Campaign.
Oh, we got
We got a
campaigns
campaign going,
Yeah, we got campaigns going, and we're doing what we can, and we're going to be in court coming up in about a month from now, and see what the courts have to say about us.
How come you got my agreement to it? Not embarrassing the city.
I appreciate that very much. You have a great day.
Smokers.
Yeah, we gotta go inside.
Have a great day.
Stay safe, guys.
See ya.
Thank
See ya.
you. Well, our timing is pretty good. A quick glance at the signs.
Yeah, there's signs.
Because we're not trying to hide. We've never tried to hide. In fact,
Nope.
we want everybody driving by to know that that's what's going on here.
Saving lives with cannabis.
Yeah, and maybe with enough people knowing and enough support, maybe Health Canada will do the right thing. Wow, the joints in there.
That's drug abuse.
That's drug abuse going on here. These are
Wow.
falling into the stairwell there.
Wow,
That poor joint
that's
has been
nasty.
stomped on.
Oh,
It's called drug protection services, yes. We need to be more careful with not abusing those drugs that
Don't
help
abuse
people.
drugs. Yeah, they never abused you.
Sorry? Drugs are great, eh? Drugs are terrible, eh?
Hey.
No, drugs aren't great and drugs aren't terrible. Drugs are just drugs. They don't do anything. They sit on the table. They don't move. They have no ability to affect anybody in any way. But if you decide to use drugs, well, they can be great and they can be terrible. It all depends on what you do with them. It all depends on how you use them. And there really are no good or bad drugs. And that includes fentanyl. Fentanyl is a great drug for killing pain in certain circumstances when necessary. And there are no good drugs either, because even cannabis, even vitamins, even all that stuff, if it's just in the plant, if it's just on the table, and nobody goes to the trouble of ingesting it or using it, well, then it's not good. It didn't do anything. It just is. But how you use it determines whether it's good or bad. And for governments to tell you that you can have these drugs over here and you're good to go, and you can't have these drugs over here or you're going to go to jail, well, they're way out of line on that. Because who knows what drugs are good for who and what drugs are bad for who and who's going to use things in what way. It is none of their business to tell any free person that you can't even try this drug here, because that might be what works for you. We're all different. They can't tell you that this drug doesn't work for anybody, because that's never the truth. Any more than to say that this works for everybody and you should be happy that you have access to that, because that's never the truth either. People need choices. People need freedom. Without those things, we are not whole people. We behave in ways that are destructive to us and to society. Freedom is the key to living prosperous, to having love in our environment, to having a love-based society instead of a fear-based society. Freedom is where most of that comes from. And you take freedom away from people, and now they're all of a sudden engaged in a whole bunch of other behaviors that they wouldn't otherwise have been. What we need are governments that respect our freedom. We're in the RV. This is the command center for the Healing Wave and the CSP. There you go. Say hi to the folks in the Plot TV land. Adam hiding down there. He's been on the show a few times, still doing his thing.
Hello, hello.
Okay.
Good day today.
Get those 5 bags ready.
5 for 5.
5 for 5, the most
one of the
popular
most
thing.
popular things we
And
have.
the free
I
joint.
hear that in my sleep.
5
Here?
for 5.
5 grams for $5. Everybody thinks it's a great deal.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that's still over $450 a pound. Well, it's $448 for a pound. And
454.
454.
454.
it's not 448.
Huh?
454.
$450.
Really?
I don't know. I got my phone here. I can't use the calculator.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I'm telling you.
16 times 28 is 448.
No, it's normal.
You're thinking about what it is in relation to kilos. Because 4 times 28 is 112. Right?
Yep.
1 pound equals 453.5.
So now do 16 times 28.
But I'm showing you that it's
I see what that says.
$453 a pound.
See what that says. So show me what 16 times 28 says.
Those I found.
448. But that's it.
So where is this discrepancy? I buy QPs
Yeah, that's
that
weird.
are 112 grams.
But then you get 230 gram.
448 is a dealer
so.
pound. An actual pound is 453.592. That's
How does
from
that work?
Anil.
That's right. I don't
That's
know.
from Anil.
So there's
Yeah,
such thing as a dealer pound.
I guess so. The old
You get
scale.
an extra 6 grams.
Maybe
So
maybe
which-
imperial
That's weird.
and metric.
100% right.
Wow.
That's weird, eh?
That is
I
very
never
weird.
noticed that before.
We're both right somehow.
Yeah, because
And now we should have a poll. See what people think. Is Trudeau taking $448 a pound, or is he taking $453 a pound?
You know it's about.
You know what he's
480.
taking. Even though he's the biggest dealer in Canada, he's probably not dealing with dealer weight.
yeah,
Anyway,
it's 2.24 kilograms to every pound, I believe, or it's 2.2 or something.
2.2 pounds
Yeah,
for every
yeah,
kilo.
sorry, yeah,
That's
2.2
true.
pounds. Yeah,
So if they're deciding that a pound is half of a kilo, then
That's 500.
that's 500. It's still not 453. So I don't know where the 453 comes from. I don't get
at
that.
$5 a gram, wasn't it?
Right here.
What?
But didn't he do $5 a gram?
Nope.
20, and he got the 453. I don't know how he got that either. Yeah.
He
Anyway.
asked for what a pound was, how many grams in a pound.
Yeah.
And it came up with that answer. But apparently in dealer weight, a pound is 448, and a half pound is 224, and a quarter pound is
So a difference of
112.
5
And
grams.
there's 16 ounces, and the 28 ounces each, or 28 grams each, rather.
Weird, eh?
So
Yeah.
That's super weird.
that is super weird. We just found some super
Last
weird
time
truth
that's all I did,
on the
right?
THC show. We're always
And
finding
after 6 o'clock too.
We're always finding interesting truths on the THC show.
it's truth,
It's been a lot of fun. It's great to be able to give you people information like this and to get some of this angst off my chest that I do every week, and that's more of what I do it for than anything else, because this whole situation
strong
just
indica,
pisses me
$40.
right off. And until the governments get in line with what it is that they're expected to be doing, that we all believe that they should be doing, we're going to continue to talk about it and continue to expose where they're corrupt. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the THC Show. Thanks to Pot TV for giving me the platform to be able to do this for all these years.
Hey, man, how you
For all the
doing?
work that everybody's doing to try to further the issue of freedom and access to cannabis in reasonable, low barrier ways. For everybody who is going to do something to make the world a better place. Thank you all. I appreciate you. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to take some time and learn some things, and that you're going to go out there and do some things, because that's what really makes life good for us. As we evolve, we can devolve or we can evolve. And most of it depends on what each individual is doing. If we're just wasting our lives being angry, sad, and drunk, then society's going to go down. But if we're living our lives to the fullest, if we're trying to find the joy that's in there in every moment of every day, and we're doing what we can to help our friends and families and future generations, then we can provide a great utopian world somewhere down the road in the future, if we can get past these greedy guys that have enough money that they can use it to make us all not be free and work and produce for them. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. I'm sure there's things I'm forgetting. Every week I forget things. It's just the nature of the beast. Other CSP chapters, we mentioned a little bit, Halifax and Newton and Surrey and what have you. Do your best to live your best life. If it wasn't today, well, we all make mistakes, and we can try it again in the next moment and in the next day. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to all the people around you. Be kind to the people you meet, especially the ones that it's hardest to be kind to because they need it more than anybody. And when you're kind to somebody, you're being kind to yourself. And if you're really kind to somebody who's hard to be kind to, then that's doing yourself a real favor. So look after yourself, look after your family, friends, and society in general. Make sure as you go through this life that you do one thing more than anything else and include it in everything that you do, because it's the most important thing. Have as much fun as you can. We'll see you next week.